Audio.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back at Lexit. Sorry, can't believe I'm that excited. Lexit Central with special guest chairman from OCGOP Latinos right here, and we got Ernest, a American loving patriot citizen, and they're just here to discuss, ladies and gentlemen. They're here to talk about how it's been going in America. And like I told Alfred, and Alfred will chime in right now, we want to bring in people who are in the state of California, who are not going to sugarcoat anything, who are not going to talk, because he's a politician, California is okay. Now, we want to hear it, and respectfully from the horse's mouth, everyday working citizens, whether it's a business owner, whether it's a chairman, whether it's Ernest, a hardworking person, just the average American, to talk about how these last 4 years have been. What is government doing now? How do they feel about it? The Democrat Party, the Republican Party, as a conservative, what does it mean to love America and be a conservative? Go ahead, Alfred.
Yes. All right. So we're going to get started because I know this is a very important topic, right? So we gather up together. We actually have a panel of young people, right? We love young people. We want to make sure that people are well informed and that we're answering certain things that are happening between our culture, right? As you all know, we love our young people, but unfortunately they're getting hit hard, right? What I mean by getting hit hard is like they've been told a lot of lies, right? It's a narrative that is being propagated out there towards forcing them to take sides, right? And you guys know firsthand, let me ask you guys a question. It is tough when you're asked to take sides. You know, it is super hard when you're forced, when you know the truth, right? When you know there's certain things that are not part of who you are, but yet again, you want to help someone else and assist someone else. And by doing so, you lie. You pretty much tell them, yeah, I'm okay with what your lie is, you know? And so this time I want to specifically jump in, ask you all of you as a panel. I want to ask you, first of all, can you guys individually explain to me, what does it mean to be a conservative? First of all, let me explain to you what the media is saying a conservative is. Number one, a conservative is somebody that's religious, right? That is so frugal in their religion. And they, you know, it's kind of like this. You know, we've been told as Latinos sometimes that we are white nationalists, right? Even though we're not white, right? But we're told we're that. But the reality is, I want you guys to explain briefly, what does it mean to you to be a conservative?
Go ahead.
Well, it's certainly not being a white nationalist. I can assure you of that. And essentially, it's of love to your country. It's a love to the truth, love of justice, love of liberty. Those are very crucial. Keeping limited government, and having the right, I guess, what they call to fail. You know, for you to be able to try things and live outside of your bubble and be able to essentially try things, and whether it be starting a business, starting a podcast, or anything, and having those freedoms and liberties, freedom of speech. So that's what it means to be a conservative for me, and specifically an American conservative, because as we know, being a conservative means different things across different countries, but here it is the fact that the government is limited and the people rule.
Go ahead, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. As a conservative, for me personally, I want to say more libertarian than anything, but you know, if we're talking about conservatism, for me as a person, I think it's limited government for sure. I think it's we the people 100%. And all in all, when you break it down to three simple things, man, all it is God, family, and country, man. That's all it is, I think we've lost sight of that, and I think we need to get back on track to find out what it really is to be a conservative, because it's not being a nationalist, or a white nationalist, I should say, because I'm from Mexico personally, so coming here very young, like it had nothing to do with me being a white nationalist, because I'd probably be the worst white nationalist ever. I'm just throwing that out there. But I served in the military, and
Nice, okay.
like I told Alfred earlier, in one of our talks, it doesn't matter who you are. If something's going down, and you're my brother in green, man, that's regardless of the matter, man. I'm gonna be there for you. I'm gonna save you. I'm gonna help you, whatever you need.
Right.
So that to me is just patriotism.
Patriotism.
Patriotism. There you go. Thank you. But yeah, man, that all in all, if I could break it down in simple terms, for me, it'd be God, family, and country, man.
I didn't even know you, sir, but thank you for your service, bro.
Yeah,
man,
thank you, man. Appreciate that.
It's tough. Like I said, I have family members and friends who served in the military, and they're a different type of breed. It doesn't matter. I think, especially even like infantry and all that. It's like, one of those things. Like you got to get out of your comfort zone, because you don't know what missions you're gonna go on. But
exactly.
Yeah, thank you for your service, and God bless you and your family. I would say for me, conservatism is, like you said, God, family, and country. But Alfred knows that, since I actually teach constitutional classes soon. There's a phrase that basically one of the mentors that I have changed it. He said, God, country, and family, because when your country falls or is going to fall, it's going to go after your family. And now if you see it, our own country is going after our own family. So I think that's something for me that I had to switch it up, because I did say family, but I think if we preserve our country, and as conservatism, if we conserve our country and our principles, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then that will show like, hey, our country's on the right track, so it's not going to go after your family, so your family will go in line. So I think for me, those are things to conserve, is going way back to the principles of our founding nation, and it'd be life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, like in the Declaration of Independence. So that for me is conservatism, is preserving freedom and liberty, like you said. So yeah, Alfred.
Thank you so much, guys. So the next question is this: how do you, in a sense, you guys been in it, you've been out there, you've been outside, I think Julian and Ernest and Eli, you made it a little late, but we were discussing on how is it, the first thing people hear about who you are, what you do, the first thing, if you tell them you're a Christian or you're whatever it be, the faith would be, you're pretty much, you run into a wall, right? So you run into a wall. So my question is, how do you navigate cultural pressures that challenge your conservative beliefs? For example, how do you challenge, those conversations with people when the first thing when you tell them you're a conservative, the first thing that rings to their mind is you're a Trumpster. You're from a specific MAGA group. You're somebody that that is that's so much hated right now in the media.
MAGA extremist or something. Like that.
MAGA extremist. So how do you navigate that kind of belief? What do you tell these people that you're having these conversations with?
Well, in part, I think that obviously comes from, in addition to like the political class trying to establish that image about us, right. You have the media, corporate media that kind of echoes that vision of us as Christian conservatives, that we're these like people that believe we're superior to everybody else and that we want to crush everybody else, but that's not true. So I guess the way I manage that in my personal life is essentially trying to get people to see the reality of who we are and what our movement is about, and frankly the fruits or the results that our principles, our values give in a society, which help a society flourish and not diminish. So it could be through many different topics, whatever we may be talking about with the individuals at that time, but essentially the goal is to get them to see, it's like, no, we're not this. This is the reality of the situation. This image that you have of us in your mind is because of what is being echoed by just a handful of rich individuals who want you to see us as your enemy, but we're not. So that's generally how I handle things, but again, just case by case.
The way I handle things, I mean, I talk to people on a daily, and I actually try to involve somewhat politics into a lot of the conversations when I first meet people, but the way I do it is more it's more low key. I don't ever address it as I'm a conservative, I'm this, I'm that. I talk to people as the common man, and then from there I can start being like, well, you know, but those taxes though, right? You know, and then
It's always the taxes,
and so
bro. It's
it's
crazy.
funny because then I see where they stand. You know, I try to you know, just grab little by little, see what I can get, and then that way we can have that conversation to where, again, talking to them as a common, just hey, like we're just primos, you know what I'm saying?
100%.
So it's like, you know, we have that conversation. I'm like, hey, look, man, like this is what it is. You know, regardless of what the media has told you, like I promise you that's not what it is, because, you know, for the most part, I feel like conservatives, yeah, they do have that bad outline on them, you know, that where people look at it and they're like, yeah, like, you know, like Alfred said, you know, oh, you're a Trumpster, and it's like, nah, man, I'm not.
Extremist.
I don't. Yeah, dude. I'm like, first of all, I'm calm as hell all the time, dude. But you know, it's
You look
just,
like terrorists or something.
yeah,
dude.
right. Like,
whoa,
it's
dude,
crazy, man.
Just because I like the guy doesn't mean like I want to, you know.
And,
like,
you know, for me, the way I see it, it's like it's not about being Trump or not about being
Right.
Biden.
Facts.
It's just it's all about the policies, man.
100%.
It's
There you
when
go.
you break it down realistically, man. I mean, if that's the case, then I've been a conservative my whole life, because my family, you know, they voted Republican for the most part. And, you know, I would see the struggle with them. You know, I would see what they went through, and, you know, Democrats not doing stuff for them, and, you know, just basically flat out lying on a lot of issues, you know. But the way I try to navigate it nowadays, it's more like, hey, man, you know, how do you like your taxes? How do you like your gas? Like that's where we got to get to the bread and butter of it, you know, because then once I start breaking it down as the normal dude, just, you know, I tell him, I'm like, hey, man, I'm just your average guy, man. I go to work, I'm raising a family, you know, and it's been great, you know. Thank God that, you know, I've been where I'm at right now, you know. But when people get that negative vibe about like, oh, well, you're a conservative, it's like, well, yeah, but that I'm going based off of a policy. Like,
Right.
I don't throw feelings into whatever's going on, which I think nowadays, especially in 2024, like that's all we do. So
Right.
when I do navigate those conversations, man, I try to talk to them and feel empathetic to how they're feeling, and, you know, just try to navigate it that way. But
Yeah. No, yeah, that's good. I think for me too, it's funny that now you guys are mentioning it, right? I don't mention Trump. The first thing I go to
You
is
can't.
right. The first thing I go to, right, is taxes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm not gonna say where I work, because people are,
Yeah.
you know, doxers.
Yeah.
But I know a guy. He's so funny. He's one of the truck drivers there, and he says, right. I asked him. I just said, I was like, hey, bro, what do you think this past 4 years? You know, how's it been? What do you feel?
Yeah.
And he's like, if you're talking to me about politics, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm just gonna be honest with you. This is the whole part. He's like, I'm voting for Trump. And I'm in the middle, and I was like, what? I was like, wait, I didn't mention nothing. He's like, bro, let me tell you something.
He already knew where you were going,
Right,
man.
like he said, he's like, if you're gonna ask me, I'm voting for Trump, bro. There's no other
Yeah.
thing. And he said, and it's not because of who he is because he pulls out his wallet as a joke, because I want to be taxed less on this. And like you guys said, it was like, okay, this is an average truck driver, bro, saying like, bro, it's not even about, it's right there, like you said, he's saying it's policies. And he even said it, right? He said, like, the mother effer that's going to tax me less, I would vote for him. And it's true, because like you guys said, we have families, we have bills we have to pay, and that's the first thing that sadly, and our government has gotten power and been using it in the wrong way, is they're going to go after your taxes. They're going to want to tax you. And that's where it's funny, because like just talking to him, I didn't mention Trump. I just said, like, what do you think? And he's like, if you're going to ask me about Trump, I'm voting for him, bro. Like, I'm done.
He just
yeah,
kept the
like he just
conversation.
said,
He's
that's
like,
it.
I
Like,
already got
I'm
it,
just
dude.
letting you know, like, and then the other thing, like you said, gas. He said, bro, gas. And it's funny because he just started going off. Like, I was like, all right, man, like, you know, don't get mad at me. He's like, no, bro, because it's true. He's like, because even gas, tell me how much it was in California when he was president. It was less than $3 almost. And now it's almost at $6.
Yeah.
So why would I keep voting for Democrat? And it's funny because he's not even independent. But he even said he started seeing a lot of policies that the Democrats push. And he was like, why am my taxes going to this for when I didn't ask for that.
Exactly.
So I think, like you said, to start these conversations, Alfred was asking is more of ask the situation financially, economically. Hey, how do you feel? And then straight up, look at the resumes. Okay, Biden is taxing us just to send our money to other places and war.
Yes.
But look at Trump. He's like, no, bro, I don't want to tax you. I want to give you money more. So just to answer Alfred's question, I think that's a good way to, I guess, start that conversation. Like you guys said, just, well, how do you feel economically? Were you better now? Or are you worse now than Trump? But go ahead. I mean,
and it's crazy. It's crazy, man. Just to piggyback off of that, like, I mean, I'm out on a daily, man. And, you know, coming from where I come from, living where I live, man, I see a lot, dude.
Well, let me ask you this, and sorry to interrupt you. Have you heard from a lot of people that you know right away? They're like, bro, I am not voting for the left anymore.
100%.
Straight up.
Yeah, 100%.
What about you? Have you seen in Orange County that they're like, bro, there's no way I can vote Democrat anymore?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I guess to give you guys specific examples, we just had our primaries, and, you know, people are calling me and they know I'm very involved in politics. It's like,
they did good, by the way. A lot of them did good, have you noticed?
Yes,
in California,
we did very good.
I was like surprised, bro. I was like, you guys did good.
So they called me up. It's like, hey, Julian, I'm trying to vote. I would like to vote for Trump for the primary, but he's not appearing on my thing. And
a lot of people had that. That's
send
crazy.
me the picture of your ballot, and I'll circle. You know, as oh, well, the problem is you're a registered Democrat. You know, that's why you don't. It's like, oh, well, I don't want this. How can I switch my party? And it's like,
They're
oh,
like
no
panicking,
problem.
right?
It's like, yeah, it's like most of them. You know, there were a few that we were too close to switch registration, but I helped them out best I could. But to answer your question, give you specific examples, yes, I did get to see that. So I guess for us formally within the Republican Party, I think, and especially leading the group that I'm leading, is I would like to continue ride that wave and get people to kind of switch over. And if we can switch their registration over, because a lot of people don't realize that, hey, California is a closed primary. So you can only vote for a Republican if you're a registered Republican. Yeah, and I guess another thing that I always like to highlight regarding this question is something that went completely unreported. But, 2016 elections passed by. There was nothing new in Texas to report on. But if you look, the southern part of Texas, a solid blue wall. All those counties been Democrat for a really long time. Come 2020, although Trump lost, he picked up, I think, like 12 or 16 of those counties. Now, why is that so important? For one, the history of those counties had been blue for almost 100 years in some cases.
Wow.
The other thing was that who was this Latino group that was voting? It wasn't your Cuban or Venezuelan votes that generally already lean to the right. This was actually Mexican American vote that Trump was picking up. So
shout out to the Chicanos in Texas, by the way. But go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah. So we saw something very beautiful. Myra Flores got elected to Congress there.
Shout out to that hermana too.
I know she does a phenomenal job, and she lost her re-election just because they
switched her at the last minute,
and they included San Antonio in there. So she was running. I guess that was an uphill battle, but she still did good.
She still won now by a lot too. She said like it was nothing, like not nothing, but like. They like for sure. From what I saw, it looked like she won this time. Like, oh, okay, it's bad. It's gonna be good.
And I think we'll be able to do much better. But again, it's hopefully we can kind of strategize and ride this wave because people are realizing and they do want to switch over to the Republican Party. They're seeing our values, our principles, what we stand for, and it's not this we want to deport everybody and crush everybody who's brown or not Caucasian. Is like that's never been the goal. So,
right. No, yeah. What about you, bro? Like what? Like I know he took it, but I like his answer too. But have you seen now in normal daily people in Orange County, wherever you work, that they're like, hey, bro, yeah, I got to vote for Trump or vote for at least
100%, man. And it's crazy. Like I said,
were you shocked too? Or you like, really?
I'm out there with I'm actually not, because it's I start looking at people, man, and I for the most part I read people semi okay, but that's how I direct the conversation. You know what I'm saying? So like I'll start the conversation and be like, hey man, so what do you think about this? And it directs them, man, and it's crazy because then they don't feel attacked. You know what I'm saying? So it's easier for me to direct that conversation to say, hey, you know what, like, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about these policies? And then they're like, well, yeah, man, they're cool. Do you know who made them? Trump. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they're kind of shocked, which is awesome. Cause then I'm like, yeah, man, like this is like, it's about being the common person. I'm like, I'm out here doing my thing every day. But by the way, when I was voting, FY, I actually heard a few people, they're like, hey, let me
my mom had a problem with that.
Republican ballot, and I was like, oh snap, all right, cool, man, that's what's up, dude.
What I was gonna ask you, and sorry, I'll let you go back to that. Why is that? Is it because you have to be registered? Shouldn't it be just whoever to vote for the president, or no? It just always was like that.
No, so this was Super Tuesday, so California takes part, and our state, both Democrats and Republicans, get to select who they want as their nominee to run in November. So here in California specifically, I don't know. There's maybe a few other states, but I'm not too sure. Here, the way it's structured is only Democrats can select the Democrat nominee or vote for the Democrat nominee, and then only the Republicans can vote, and subsequently, so independents, libertarians, the other smaller political parties.
Because my sister didn't have a presidential nomination selection to select that.
Okay.
So she was like, and we were both like, okay, why is that not popping up as for you to select the president? But I guess now that you're explaining it, it kind of makes sense. But
right, so that's a good opportunity to get on a register.
Yeah, no, I know, and I told my mom too, because she was looking worried. She's like, why isn't the but it's crazy because that's a whole nother subject. I mean, supposedly she was registered as a Republican, but I don't know about that. I mean, we got to look into that. But go ahead, bro.
Harvesting.
Oh, harvesting, right.
No, I'm just saying. So what I've seen is I've seen seen already people from the other side. And again, this is like Julian said, this is the primaries. So we're seeing some of the harvesting folks from the Democrat Party already going out. They're already out there. They're 100%. Already reaching out. And so they're going through the polls. They're looking at the list and they're like, hey, if you by any chance you've been in the past being a Republican, they think you're being a Democrat.
Right.
They still think you're a Democrat. So therefore, sometimes you have to literally tell them like, hey, bro, I jumped parties 4 or 5 years ago. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, we'll make sure we'll make a note.
Hopefully.
And exactly, I'm thinking, do I have to go online, check to see? So everybody go online, check to see to confirm your party, because I'm telling you, there's some funny
especially
business
this
in
election.
California.
Sorry to interrupt. Right after, especially this
Yeah.
election, y'all gotta step it up and go
Absolutely.
check your ballot.
100%.
If you are tired of these Democrats in California and everywhere in this country, go fix that ballot. But go ahead, bro. So you were finishing. You were saying,
I was saying though, I talk to these people on a daily just because it's what I like to do, man. I like to reach out to people in that sort of sense because I'm tired of seeing what we're going through here in Orange County as a whole, man. Like it's like I said, I where I live and stuff, man, you see homeless as an issue. You see people hurting, man, on a daily,
100%.
man, and it kills me, man. And this is why I decided to jump on top of this and reach out to Lexit, because of the simple fact that it's time for people to start doing something and start voicing their opinions, whether it's a bad stigma to be like, hey, well, I'm voting Republican. It's like, no, it shouldn't be a bad stigma, man. It's like, let's look at the policies, let's talk about them, and if you don't feel a certain way, cool, but really look at yourself as a person and see where your views align more. It doesn't mean you're one way or another, because at the end of the day, you could come back 4 years from now and say, you know what, Sasuke, I'm gonna vote Democrat because somebody pretty like Newsom comes up and it's like, hey, look, freaking Ken doll looking dude,
right? Like an old time version.
Hey,
bro.
man, I'm not gonna lie, dude. He's a handsome guy, man, but don't like him one bit, man. He's just
He's a weirdo, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely weird,
It's
man.
true, like the way he's,
But-
and then the way he makes it seem like this guy. It's like it annoys me so much the way he tries to make it seem like, oh yeah, California's on top.
Oh
Go
my
down to
gosh,
Skid
yeah.
Row and see if it's still on top. And then now that you're bringing up homelessness, right? Go talk to those 30,000 homeless veterans that are in Skid Row,
Yeah,
bro.
man.
And say it to their face. Hey,
Yeah.
we're doing better, and see if they won't slap you in the face or something,
man.
right?
That's what I see nowadays, man.
It's disgusting.
And it bugs me because I see that. Like I travel a lot, to different cities, and anyways. But when I go out there, man, I don't like it. I dislike LA, man, and I remember LA being such a great place to be. Like that's where you wanted to be, if you wanted to make something of yourself or XYZ, whatever, man. But LA was always known as like just the place to be.
I always thought, when I remember back then growing up, it was like the OC, the 2.0
Yeah,
OC. You
yeah,
go to
yeah,
the
yeah,
beach,
exactly.
no bums.
Yeah.
Venice, bro.
Yeah,
oh
Venice
my
was
goodness. Now
amazing,
that I see
man.
Venice, I'm
Yeah.
like, what
It's
happened
trash,
here?
man.
Right.
It's
And
trash.
it's like, and I like that your county, and I respect it a lot. They're fighting back. They don't want none of those policies in LA.
No,
a lot of it.
absolutely
I've
not.
noticed that.
Yeah.
Huntington Beach, bro, they're banning this whole COVID stuff, the whole pride flag, and because they're like, bro, we've seen that, and at least we can start there.
Yeah.
And not only that, Orange County, I got to give it to them, bro. They're like, they may look like it's liberal, but there's a lot of
there
conservatives
is,
out here, bro.
absolutely,
But
yes.
yeah, that. I'm just saying that. Sorry to go off topic
no,
because
you're good.
I wanted to ask you too on that. And sorry, Alfred, if I may.
Go ahead, bro.
You live in Orange County. You live in Orange County too,
Yes,
right?
sir.
You guys that live in Orange County, right? When people say that, oh yeah, that it's more liberal and a lot of more Democrats, what do you guys think? And I'll start with you. That you see Orange County, and why do you think a lot of people that live in Orange County don't want to be like LA County? What do you think that they see and they're like, oh, bro, no, we got to fight? Because I've noticed, like I said, I've seen the movement here in this county, and I'm like, dang, these people in OC are really waking up, and they're more conservative than what I thought it was. I thought it was going to be another LA. But yeah, my question is, why do you think that's happening? And, can you explain a little bit about it?
Yeah. So, like in all areas of life, I think you should measure people by the results
Facts.
and measure policies
Facts.
by the
100%.
results. And so I think people look at the results of Orange County. For example, I have to give it to Todd Spitzer, our current DA.
Okay.
He crushed. He has those big billboards right now.
He
It's
put up
like
that billboard, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
the
man. I see it on my.
crime doesn't
So
pay.
he's the goat.
NLC.
He's the goat
Correct.
here.
Yeah. So, and so you need a good DA like that that's willing to just simply enforce the law. That's all that you really need to do, and people feel safer. It's not even just feeling, it becomes a reality of the county. You are safer.
Yep,
you don't have
exactly.
to fear as much as like you are in Los Angeles County. But that just doesn't just stay in public safety. It trickles down to all areas of life: the economy, the utilities, water, electricity,
Right.
that kind of stuff. The water districts here in Orange County, the infrastructure that we have here is very, very good, and I think much better run than LA County. So I think, in a nutshell, really, it's just going to be those results that we give. It's a much more beautiful county to live in. It's
Safer, for sure.
It's safer. Not so much traffic still. And it's a very stable place with a lot of economic opportunity as well. But the left is obviously saying the opposite, that you're being crushed, the inequality. There is, if you're a minority, you won't make it. And that's the kind of lies that they try to feed you. But here in Orange County, I mean, me as a Hispanic, I've prospered, thankfully. I'm a refugee from LA County. I moved here.
The way he says it too, man, that sounds funny.
man,
He's
yeah.
straight up, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's tough in LA County, and
Yeah, man.
and a lot of people here have been very generous with me. They've shared their knowledge, their wisdom, and because here in Orange County, at least, I feel also the education system here is more focused on the math, the science, the things that are going to empower you to be able to succeed in life. Whereas LAUSD right now, we had some crazy reports coming out that they're graduating kids from high school that don't know how to read English, that can't do math,
crazy.
Right.
and it's like, and we're literally setting them up for success. But ask them about these, what I would say, lower points of like your emotional well-being and your
How do you feel mentally?
correct. Yes, like that's not really going to help people. The world is a vicious place. Just give them the tools to empower them, give them a sharp mind, how to think, how to reason through things, and they'll be able to succeed in life. But
100%.
so I guess back to your question though, it's just the results, and people look at LA County, Orange County, and it's black and white. It's like, oh gosh, no, I screw LA County. We want to stay Orange County. Yeah, we
right.
do not want the LA County
Facts.
stuff here.
And shout out to the Orange County parents, because they've been going to a lot of school boards and fighting this whole,
Yes.
like you said, LASUD wants to
Yes.
push now this whole ideology towards kids in here.
But I do want to warn Orange County folks.
They'll see this. Go ahead, go.
We just had, unfortunately, in the primary, they had the recall at the Orange Unified School District. and they were successful in recalling 2 of the conservatives. So it was a 4 Republican or 4 conservative, 3 liberal. They recalled 2 of the Republicans. They did a nasty campaign. They were going to Republicans telling them that the conservative board members that they wanted to recall were the ones like putting up these sexual books in the library when it was all the country, the opposite. It was a really nasty campaign. They were using parks where you're not supposed to use parks to gather signatures and pass that. Long story short, they succeeded in that, and they had money pouring in from the National Teachers Union, from teachers associations from across California and the county, and unfortunately they spent like $300,000. They were successful, so they are coming after the schools, and because they were looking at this, and money came from all over the country. Again, I repeat, because this was a little guinea pig, and since they were successful here, boom, they already pulled the trigger at Temecula Unified School District, because you have good conservative board members that are willing to look out for the kids, defend the education of the kids. And so I'm just saying that to make you guys aware, and hopefully, if you guys live out in Temecula, let you guys know that it is coming, and prepare and show up to vote. In favor. You have to be cautious if it's a yes or no. You want to look at what that's going to mean, and then pull the trigger on your vote the correct way. So, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna that they're also gonna take to Tennessee now. And it's like, look at the success we had in California. We can do it in a red state too. So
it's just dirty politics that they're doing.
Yeah,
basically.
because they are the ones that are. Well, when they talk about democracy, these were democratically elected officials, and they didn't like the results of the elections, and they did an overturn of the elections with a recall. So. That's
dirty
undemocratic.
Politics. Yes, dirty politics.
Absolutely.
And what would you say, right? Just so you can let them know, what is the plan now for you guys to, I guess, fight back against this recall? I guess what is the next move? I guess you have probably guys are, from what you heard, the plan.
Right. So I personally, I don't know all that too well to answer the question, but I do know that the grassroots movements, they're getting ready to defend. But other than that, I wouldn't know how to tell you what's going on. But it's something we'll definitely have to look into, because it's a wave that's starting, and we can't let it go to other districts.
Right, you guys won a lot, a lot of here in Orange County. So hopefully, But the question was, right? So why do you think OC is trying to stay OC and not become another LA County 2.0? What do you think has been the success now in OC as being that I guess you would say lion who's fought back against this whole liberal, and I'm gonna call y'all extremist, liberal extremist, right? What do you think, seeing it from living in OC?
Honestly, man, I think a lot of it fell under. I mean, our last few years, not even just with Biden, but even previous to that, I feel like we've become a society of just people that are so self-involved in their feelings. And personally, like me, like I told Alfred, I'm like, I don't have time for that. We have stuff to do. There's business to be dealt with. There's policies that we need to look into. And so I think now with the craziness, I feel that, because most of the people that I've spoken with, and this is on various different levels of people, I'll talk to them, and again, they'll go back to voting for Trump as far as right now, and it shocks me, because I'm like, okay, cool, but then the amount of people I talk to are mostly for the policies. They're mostly for being on that conservative side. So I feel that. Going back to feelings, I feel that a lot of these people just again comes with the stigma where they just didn't want to be labeled as like a Republican or conservative because it was the bad thing to be, or whatnot. So I feel that now that the economy's just tanking, that everything's hurting, everybody's pockets are hurting, not just liberals, not just Democrats, everybody's pockets. The border, yeah. So with that being said, it's I see it to where. Now they're just like, you know what, enough is enough, and wholeheartedly, like even the raza that I talk to, that I speak with and go around, I'm like, bro, like,
how do they feel when you talk?
Man, it's crazy, because when I talk to them, I'm like, hey, like, how do you feel about this? And pues no sabes qué, blah, blah, and we get into a conversation, and I, my Spanish is a little broken from time to time. I'll be honest, because I've been here since I was 2 years old, right?
Yeah.
But when I talk to them, I try my best to translate. and it's cool because we can go off on a whole conversation. And it's crazy. It's what's even better is the fact when I do speak to them in Spanish, they're like, "Hey, ¿de dónde eres?" "Hey, de DF, man." But they're like, "Oh, so you're from Mexico?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude." You know.
Yeah.
And so it's.
Wait, you're
crazy.
from Mexico City?
Yeah.
Oh, paisano.
Yeah. Hey, there you go, my
okay.
brother.
Right there.
Yeah, man. So it's crazy, dude. You know, once I start talking to them, they open their eyes and they're just like, "Yeah, man." Like, so I feel that for the most part, Orange County has always been more red than blue, but then that also comes with other things, you know, shifty things that we somehow consistently keep coming up blue. But every time I've talked to anybody, who you voting for? Trump. Even in the last election where Biden had 80 million votes.
Supposedly
apparently.
supposedly Trump could have flipped California, seeing it. That's what I heard.
But that's what I'm saying. He could have flipped it, and that just goes to show you right there that yeah, people are hurting because when they saw their pockets with him, they were like, "Yo, I might not have liked the guy, but ¿sabes qué? My gas was good. I could afford groceries. Like, we're good, you know?" So regardless of how you feel about that man, again, it doesn't come down to feeling. It comes down to policies and what you want to do. So now I feel that for the most part, people are, in a sense, paying attention now because of the fact that they're hurting.
Right.
So
well, it's like kind of like you guys say, right? It's like, I think that's the bad issue. Is so much feelings, bro.
Correct.
Look at your wallet, bro. I like, for example, it's kind of like the way I picture Trump, and I've talked to Alfred about this. I picture Trump as, okay, maybe the guy will say some things, but just make sure on payday you're not taking more of my money. You can say, oh, I suck, and maybe you're saying I suck because I'm trying to, but as long as you're not taking my money more than what you're supposed to and trying to scam me, cool. You're my boss. Just give me my money that I've earned myself, to give me the gas prices that I've worked hard for me to get. For me to vote for you. So I think, like you guys are saying, it's not even about feelings with a lot of people that they're voting for Trump. They're just like, bro, I don't want I want what he had, where gas prices in OC too, gas prices were low. Rent was low. And groceries and all that, because even probably in OC, people are like, "What the bro? What happened?"
Man,
so
groceries is where it's at,
right? And it's crazy because, like you said, they don't even probably have a MAGA hat. They're just like, "Bro, I'm just gonna vote for him because I want my gases and I want the economy back to what it was." So,
well, and I mean, you know, to piggyback off of that, man, it's crazy because you know, with Trump and what he says, man, like I don't agree wholeheartedly with everything he says, you know, but most of the stuff that I see, I'm like, man, like, yeah. You know, and you know, I come from a time where, you know, it was said like sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. So what happened to that? You know, I come from that time where it's like, bro, like, yeah, but I'm like, bro, like, you know, just get out of your feelings for a bit, you know, and actually sit there and critically think. But the problem is too, is like, we don't critically think anymore. We just allow people to do what they want, and especially in government, you know, like I was telling you earlier, Julian, we've just become so complacent in looking into policies and looking into these people that we're voting in. And at the end of the day, it's all about feeling. It's like, hey, well, I feel that he said this mean word.
Right, like, from you guys, that's another question.
Cares.
Have you noticed a lot of, I guess, left people or even people who still don't want to give Trump a chance? It's like, oh, it's because he said. I'm like, bro, I don't care what he said. And now it's funny that you guys, now that you have 2 Chicanos and 3, one more over there.
That's right.
And I've always asked this to Alfred.
The Chicano community.
Right,
you know?
right. Hey, there you go.
Hey.
So this is the funny part, and I wanted to ask you guys. This is another question that's pretty funny because I asked Alfred, and he said, yeah, bro, that is true. I had it. But have you ever had that family member who was straightforward with you? From Mexico or that lives here, right, Latino, and he'd be like, okay, bro, you suck. I'm sorry. I'm just being honest. He wasn't gonna sugarcoat and be like, oh, you know, Julian, or oh, hey, Ernesto, you know, like. So I want to start with you. Do you not have that in the family where they're not about feelings? They're just straightforward and letting you know, hey, bro, like this is it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think especially, you know, it was different times, different generation, you know, but they grew up. Every generation has its own challenges, but yeah, they were. I'll give you guys an example. I'm gonna put it out there, but my oldest uncle, you know, they were
it's
out
always
at
the uncles.
Oh yeah.
I told Alfred, I was like, yeah, bro, I remember that uncle.
And hold on, because this will eradicate everything about your feelings. Because so they were out at he was out with my grandfather out at the ranch, you know, with the big bull, and the bull maybe got stung by a bee or just was in a bad mood or whatever, and he flipped on my uncle and threw him the horns and. long story short, he got him in the head, and then he had like all this skin hanging
Like
from
a
here.
laceration, yeah.
Yeah, and so he goes to my grandpa crying, and then my grandpa, not that he was a cruel man. I do want to make that he loved his family, and he did everything he could to provide for his family, and that guy loved his kids. But he also taught him to be tough. And so when that happened to him, he smacked my uncle and said, if you want to cry like a girl, go cry to your mom. And,
man.
you know, and like, imagine if you had this skin hanging off. Like a lot of people would say, oh my goodness, well, how cruel. And, you know, it's like exactly abuse. But it wasn't that. You know, he was the oldest of the sons. So he was teaching him that, hey, you know, this is a life lesson. He didn't have the words for it, but life is tough. Life, bulls are going to hit you on the horns, whether it be financial bulls or whatever. And it's going to hurt. But you cannot shut down and cry. You know, you got to go out there and continue to fight. So, yeah, I absolutely do have that in my family. And I'm actually thankful because you don't want to fall victim to your emotions. I think, you know, like what I like to tell people is don't let your emotions govern your thoughts. Let your thoughts govern your emotions, and that'll change your life completely.
Right. Hey,
So,
bro, we need to get a sound effect out first so you can be like, da, 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 da.
Yeah, no, that was good.
That was good, but yeah, like you said, I think facts, right? It's just facts over emotions. And my bad, interrupt you, but keep going. If
No,
you need
you're
to, 'cause
fine.
it was-
Well, no, that was just the point, and frankly, well, you were in the military, right? So I think you understand that better. And frankly, I learned a lot. I'm in the political thing, but you learn a lot from military minds.
Right, facts.
There's a lot of lessons that you can learn in the military that you can apply to your life.
100%.
I never served in a uniform, right? But I've learned a lot from generals. Everybody agrees that Andrew Jackson was a terrible president, and maybe he was. But he was an excellent general, and there's a lot to learn from him.
Right.
So,
Yep.
and I'm sure. Gosh, your name
Ernest.
again? Ernest.
Don't worry, man. Trust me, I'm bad with names.
Ernest.
Don't worry.
It's gonna be Ernest too, like how you said, bro, in the military. Because let's just say, right, a scenario, Ernest. If I'm have to cover your 6, and I'm over here thinking
Correct.
about my feelings, how do you think are you gonna want to trust me with your life? And it's just a
God,
question
no.
before you start
God,
going,
no.
right? So, yeah, the question, like it was saying. A family member that you remember who was not about emotions but was straight up. Go ahead, go for it, man.
My mom in itself, man, she was a hardworking lady, and you know I love her to death, man. And it's crazy because you know she was very tough. You know, she was very tough, but that's because she had to be. You know, she was raising a young man as well as a young daughter, but at the end of the day, she was the main parent. You know, I had a stepdad and whatnot, and he was cool, but all in all, like. You know, they were tough on me, and you know, honestly, I look back at it now, and I'm so thankful for it because it built me up to who I am now. Not only that, but I've always grown up around a lot of older people, and same thing with them. They just been like, hey man, get out of your feelings, and you know. But where it really hit me the most, and it's crazy because I apply this now more so than ever because I got kids, and I try my very best to navigate their emotions, like you said, because you have to understand what you're feeling. Because if you don't, then you're just gonna be everywhere all the time.
100%.
You know, so even with my daughters, kind of like you know your uncle. You know, when they start crying, I'm like, hey, no, we're not doing that around here. Let's figure out what you're doing. Why are you upset? And then we break it down, and I'm like, no, because what I'm trying to do as a father, man, most importantly is, you know, I want to raise strong women that are, you know, I'm not gonna say as a strong independent women, you know,
Feminist.
no, but in a sense, strong independent women to where
Might
they
turn
can
out to be
take
your
care,
enemy, bro.
right?
Like, my dad raised me
Right?
No, go ahead,
so
bro.
it's you know, but I want them to understand what they're doing, where they're coming from, and to really navigate themselves so they don't just break down. Because my thing is that being in the military, you know, I've ran through a ton of scenarios, and it's been, you know, it's been great. Honestly, best time of my life, even though I didn't like it at the time. But it was the best time of my life. And you know, the way I see it is like you have a mission to do at any given day.
Marines, Army?
Army.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So you have stuff to do, and at the end of the day, man, like you said, if you're in your feelings, man, when you're
war
trying to
kicks off
yeah,
with you.
man, it's like I don't have time for that personally, man. And that's what I tell my daughters on some of the occasions where we'll talk, and my daughters will be in their feelings. I'm like, look, pause. Nobody has time for that. Relax, settle down. Let's focus. Let's focus where the problem is at and why you're feeling this way. And then let's break it down. Let's, little by little to try to navigate their feelings. Because like I tell my girl too, I'm like, yo, if what's going to happen if you let them be in their feelings too long, right? If they're crying about homework or they're like, oh, well, I didn't get it done and I'm going to get in trouble. Okay, well, why are you doing it so late? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And so how I tell her is, I tell my girl is simply this. I'm like, what are you gonna do when we're gone? And now we have to throw them out into the world with the wolves. What are they gonna do? If they're when they get their initial job, let's say it's really hard, whatever. Their boss comes and yells at them because they got a deadline to do X, Y, and Z, and they didn't do it because they procrastinated, because that's how they lived their childhood. Then what? Then they start getting yelled at. What are you gonna do? Break down and cry? No. Again, nobody has time for that. Like, we have to move on and we have to keep pushing in order to better ourselves. Correct. And I guess that comes from the old saying, like, pick yourself up by your bootstrap. But realistically, when you break that phrase down in itself, man, you have to do a lot for yourself to be a functioning person in society today. Right. And, with all this feeling stuff, like, I get it. There's a time and a place for everything. Don't get me wrong, man. Like, I'm not this cold-hearted dude. Like, hey, you're not allowed to feel,
Yeah.
But
making it too much, though. It's like seeing our men now. It's like, some of them are like, bro, you kind of too emotional there.
Yeah.
Relax.
Like, it's crazy. I don't mind, I got some of the homies and, hey, if you want to chop it up and you get a little emotional, dude, I get it. Cool. I'm not going to bash you for it.
Not even that. I think, like, what I'm saying is more like, some men, it's hard for them. And I get it, it's a breaking point, especially in the military, spec ops, all the stuff they go to, special operations, even in the military. It's like, okay, bro, I kind of understand why they just need to let it out, even sometimes with anger or crying, because, bro, they see things, they hear things, they do things that it's like, wow.
Man, I've come off of a couple calls, man, with suicidal soldiers, man, and it's the saddest thing in the world, man. It's tough. I remember one specific case, man. I sat up till like 3 or 4 in the morning, man, just talking this dude down, and it was crazy because I was like, man, I got work in like 2 hours, but it is what it is, man. Like, you just got to be there for people.
But I respect the bond you guys built too. It's like a brotherhood.
Yeah, no, 100% it is,
like,
man.
bro, you got to be there.
Some of these people that I came out with, like, I still talk to some of my buddies, and it's been amazing. I keep up with them, and man, I look at them like my brothers, man. It's crazy because they're vice versa. They live in different states now, but it's just like, man, the time that we served together, the time that we've been, like, the things we've been through, dude. And thankfully, I never went to war, which is thank God. But at the end of the day, just even in the time of training, man, like, the bonds that I've built with these soldiers, man, has been amazing. So being in the military also did enhance what I had already known is the feeling portion. It's like, really, nobody has time for that. If you're getting shot at, I like to call him my hermano. It's my baby brother. He's a lifelong friend. He was actually in the news for a video that he captured with his GoPro when he was getting shot at in Afghanistan.
Combat.
Yeah, and it was crazy because I'm just like, man, so what are you gonna do at that point? You got stuff to do. You got to shoot back. You got to figure out where to shoot. You got to figure out all these things. And mind you, he was a sergeant of his platoon. So now he had 4 or 5 other guys looking at him for the answers. So if you're the sergeant in charge, man, what's gonna happen when and I don't know if I can curse on here, but when shit hits the fan, man. Like, you got stuff to do, and you got to focus. But you can't focus on the mission when you're deep in thought about your feelings. That, at the end of the day, all in all, is what's going to get you killed.
Well, here's something a little bit creepy now that I think about it. Right? Yeah. You as a army veteran, how do you feel on how they're lowering the standards now, bro?
God,
like that, I've always wanted to ask. But I haven't seen a veteran in a while. There's a good friend that I know that went, but now that you're here and knowing that you're, how do you feel knowing that you had to go through a standard and now you see it, you're like, hey, bro, what is going on?
Yeah. Well, thankfully, first of all, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit, just because that, again, everything going on, man. That's what gets people killed. all in all, like when you are focused on your feelings, when you're focused about your makeup, when you're focused about X, Y, Z, my dude, like nobody has time for that, you know. And it's crazy. I'm a big person in across the board, and I told Alfred this, across the board, just in every daily thing I do, everything must be fair in a sense. If you could do it, I could do it, right? So I'll tell you a quick story. I had this girl, I'm not gonna name her name, but I went to the Sergeant's Academy out in like closer to Florida, and and it was crazy because she's, you know, tiny little girl and stuff, and I didn't mean to be mean about it or whatnot, but you know, we're rucking up at 6:30 in the morning, man. Like we're going to a fob, right, where we're gonna camp out, basically camp, and just, you know, do our thing and whatnot. And she's standing next to me, right, and the rucksack's about like 60 pounds, and then with your IBA, which is your chest plates and all that stuff, right, you know, you got another 30-40 pounds,
Close
give
to
or
100.
take. Yeah, so you know, you got some weight on you. And this little girl looks at me, you know, and very unqualified to be there, 100%. And it bothered me because I struggled to get there. So when it came down to fairness, I'm like, cool, then let's play that game. And, you know, she's like, hey, Sergeant Marin, can you help me with this rucksack? I'm like, nope. Dang. And she looked at me in shock. And I was like, you brought it out here, pick it up and get what you need to do, get it done. I'm here to help you in certain scenarios when stuff really hits the fan. But I'm not gonna be here to make you feel like, oh well, I can do it too. Because if you can, at the end of the day, whoever you're covering, that's their ass, you know. And if
you get shot and you just drop right there.
If I get shot because you can't do your stuff, man, that's a red flag, you know. Right. And at the very end of the day, man, it's crazy. Like I told her, you know, I was like, look, I feel bad whoever falls under your platoon, because wholeheartedly you're probably gonna get everybody killed. And I told it to her face, man.
And sorry to interrupt on that portion, but this is exactly what we need to do. We need to be bold and tell the truth.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, this is the reason why we're in this predicament, as far as making sure, you know, like, for example, the privileged, underprivileged, whatever you want to call it. The reason why we're here is because, unfortunately, these standards were dropped, right? Mm-hmm. And all these things are happening. People are moving on emotions, right? And now we have an opportunity to actually build somebody. And now we have to take it in and say, here, let me help you.
Well, you can do it too.
Exactly. So how am I gonna help that person right there to better off, or, you know, or even that the experience of saying, you know what, I give it my all, or even saying I didn't do a diggity squat because you know, Sergeant Marine actually helped me out and I pulled through because of his help. Exactly. Can you imagine? You did not force this person to actually even try. And this is what we're seeing right now with a lot of young people that are getting involved, you know, with the education, the politics, the arena. And the reason why I wanted to bring it a little bit back was because here we identified that there's a problem, right? We understand that politics right now is very iffy, right? A lot of people do not want to do nothing to do with it. I was one of them. I was actually one of the ones that rose my hand and said, when somebody said, "Hey, you're gonna get involved in this and the political," I'm talking. I can't do Julian's work. You know what I mean? Like, he's super smart. You know what I mean? Right. In the aspect of understanding districts, this and that, I think you know, some of those things I wouldn't be able to handle. But guess what? We can do conscious, small little things at home. Correct. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's little things that we can start doing now. You know, for example, that's one of the things that I wanted to jump on next. My question to you all is, like, we understand there's a problem. We understand, you know, there's issues. Now, how do we come together here as an open table and discuss certain things that are occurring with the young people? For example, the education system. We know it's a mess. We know it's out of control. We know it's been hijacked, as we say, right? Because a lot of these ideas, unfortunately, a lot of these adults that have these ideas and have these in control, I want to say this, in control of certain departments, or even that. How about the workplace? You know, when implementing of DEI and all this stuff, how can we assist? You know, how can we bring, you know, common sense action, right? As you guys know, it's military. You know, how do we approach? You know, how do we help navigate other people, other conservatives, other young people through these challenges? For example, education, right? There's certain things that we're paying for it. As students, can we say, even though I paid for it, there's certain things I'm not gonna get into or learn from. For example, curriculums that are being introduced into junior high or high schools, right?
Right.
Now, how about in workplace? Is there anything we can do to push back on these trainings, right? I don't know if you guys noticed, but
DEI.
the
basically.
DEI, right? I don't know, Julie. I don't know.
Diversity. What is it? Diversity.
Inclusion.
Equity and inclusion.
Yeah, there you go.
Go ahead, Albert. Yeah, something like that.
So, you guys remember the golly, there was not too long ago, I think there was in the news, there was somebody that came out and I don't know, was outspoken about something. And I think it was in that Letitia James case. Something happened. She was something went something happened and somebody spoke out or somebody said something. Well, now this person is being put into a reprogramming program. Imagine
I
that.
think I remember that. Or is Leticia James the lady from New York, right?
Yeah.
Well, did you hear about about Alfred, the people that booed her at the firefighting?
Yeah.
That's it.
Is that one? Yeah.
Yes.
So they booed her at the firefighting thing.
Yes, the
firefighters.
firefighter.
And he got arrested, right?
No. So basically, they booed her and they started saying Trump,
Yeah.
and she emailed the director of the fire department,
right.
I guess, to say, I want to know the names of them, and it's best if they tell on themselves now before it gets worse.
See,
Yeah.
wow.
So,
That-
but were you gonna finish off? My bad. I just wanted to
I was
correct
gonna say that's exactly what it is. So see here, this is exactly what I'm talking to you guys about. How young people, or even adults, are being singled out of the crowd because we say what we think. We're in a free democracy, right? Have you guys heard the word?
Yeah.
Well, no, what I'm saying to the ones that are in control, democracy, right?
Democracy. That's
Right.
what
For us, we already know we're in a republic, right? Constitutional republic, right?
Yeah.
But again, we have to think that way, and we have to understand that this is where they're at.
Correct,
So,
correct.
So how do we navigate? For example, what is your thoughts in how do we navigate these issues with, in school with, young people, being singled out, in a sense where, hey, you're that person here, you're singled out, right, in front of the teacher, and the teacher thinks otherwise. I've seen this more than ever.
Basically, how dare you think this
Exactly.
way, or how dare you side with that side? I guess.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Even wearing a red hat.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it.
Go
So
ahead.
how do you do it?
Well, there was quite a bit there to unpack, but I think the first thing with other fellow conservatives is, and even the ones that are just not conservatives but are not happy with the way the state is going, is just simply getting them out to vote. If everybody who had left the state of California in the last 5-10 years would have just stayed and simply voted for the other team, we wouldn't have the mess that we have in Sacramento currently. So of the people that have left California, 2/3 are Republican or conservatives, and then the other third is Democrat or the whole bunch. So that's one. I think two would be you kind of have to, if you're going through the education system right now, through a college or something, just take a stand. There's a price to pay. But the country isn't going to just stand by itself. It needs advocates. It needs people to take a stand, make the little sacrifice. And I'll give you guys an example, because you do pay a price for that. So I'll give you guys an example here. In my communications class, our midterm was an informative speech, and then our final was a persuasive speech. So the informative was awesome. I was like, oh, this is too easy. I'm going to do it on Mexico. So it's just a very beautiful speech that I did. Just gave them
Mexico.
Exactly. Just gave them the whole rundown of what Mexico is, everything that the country has accomplished, the early warning system of the earthquakes, blah, 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 blah. Oh, the teacher, everybody, A+, this was fantastic, wonderful. And I did the exact same amount of energy, if not more, for my persuasive speech, which was why you should vote Republican. And so, man, I bet that was good.
It didn't go well, I'm sure.
Oh man, I want to hear this, but go
You
ahead.
guys know the end of the story, but I think I can't remember the exact grade, but it was either a C or a B that I got. But as I was going, when I gave my informative speech, not a question, not a challenge from the professor or nobody, but why you should vote Republican. When I was giving the facts, when I was giving, the first blacks to Congress were Republican, the first Latinos to Congress were Republican, the first immigration reform, the first and only immigration reform was
Civil Rights
Republicans,
Acts,
and
Republicans.
civil rights acts were Republican. First woman to the Supreme Court, all those beautiful historical facts of the
historical
Republican Party, Abraham Lincoln, etc. All those fall into the Republican Party, but obviously the professor was not too thrilled with that. So she started challenging, where did you get this from? You have to give a source for this. And I did, because that's part of, your
college. Yeah, you got to give sources.
Correct. Yeah. And, frankly, in anything, you have to be standing on facts and truth. We have an obligation to that.
Yeah.
But that's just an example of... And from that class forward, I never cared about my grades in college ever again. It was done. I was like, it's not about how you do. It's like there are professors here that are willing to beat you down because you're on the wrong, you don't believe what they believe, and they want to force you to believe.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what, just do what you can. I'm okay with C's as long as I pass and I'm done and I'm out of here. But so that was just an example. But we have to pay a price. But it's do it wisely. I'm not gonna say just go out there and blurt things. To win wars are won in the details, and you have to be wise and prudent on how you do those. But do take a stand. That's what I guess would offer to that question.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you, dude. I talked to Alfred, over the phone and whatnot. I'm a big person on my beliefs and what I do, right? I don't try to do anything maliciously, but at the end of the day, man, the way I see it is we consistently, now more than ever, we need to stand our ground in just everything we do. If we say something, we better stand by it. If
correct.
something goes on and you're not liking it, stand by it and tell them why. As far as your grades and whatnot, for me personally, I would have been like, why are you asking me all these questions? Why is it that this went this way, but this didn't go this way?
Yes.
And then start breaking it down to them and saying, well, are you now coming at me because of my beliefs? And if that's so, cool, then let's figure it out. Let's go talk to the dean. Let's go talk to the principal, whoever. But let's figure this out, because I'm not backing down.
Right.
That to me is just, it's not okay, man. You can't strong arm me into believing what you believe. I can sit there with you, have a conversation, and we can come in the middle, or you can just be mad at me and be on your way. Cool, fine. My job isn't to convince you to come to my side. My job is to simply open your mind up to the idea of this. So when you see things one way and not the other, for me, it's just a big stand your ground type of thing, where, you can hate me, you can say X, Y, Z about me, you can go spread lies, spread rumors, this and that. But all in all, you guys are talking to me for the first time, and at the end of the day, you guys can go home and be like, well, that guy was fucking weird or whatever, But my job,
we don't think that.
Yeah, no. But my thing is at the end of the day, I'm here to say my piece about how I believe things to be and how I perceive
your
things.
opinions.
Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I'm not here to argue with anybody. I'm here to say, hey, this is how I see things. Let's have a conversation. Let's meet in the middle. But now when you're trying to strong arm me, bro, that's where you have a problem, because I'm not that guy, man. You're not gonna intimidate me. You're not gonna do.
You don't
anything.
get punked.
No, man, bro. I told you, my mom was hard, bro. You can't punk me, dude. I mean, she still punks me from time to time, but no.
It's always the moms that
right.
still punk us, right?
But yeah, man, it's she. For instance, man, she there was one specific time where I remember she threw me out to the wolves. She was just like, hey, go do your thing. And I was like, oh shit, dude. I was a young kid, man. And I was like, bro, this isn't it. But again, at the end of the day, I understood all of that. And now when I see it, I'm like, yeah, you know what? She built me up to stand my ground. Right. In everything that I do, which even portrayed in the military, if I have, this belief or whatever, let's talk about it. If you don't like it, cool, we can take it to the wood line and square up real quick. I don't care. I'm not trying to fight you, big dog. I'm just trying to be here and state what I need to state. And then if we can meet in the middle, cool, have a simple conversation. Yeah. But,
I always say if it offends you, I think that's a you problem, bro. It's not a me, right?
Yeah,
it's like
for real, 100%.
I'm just letting you know how I feel.
Yeah, like I don't intentionally try to offend people, man. My girl tells me this all the time too. She's like, you have a thing about you where you genuinely don't try to offend people, but you do it anyways. And I'm like, well, again, that's not my problem. I'm not coming here to intentionally say, hey, well, you suck, and then that's that. No,
You should have told your girl, sweetheart, is it? Are you sure that these people I'm telling they're not liberals or something? Because if it is, then bro, that's them.
Dude,
like, you know.
At the end of the day, she just doesn't. She's just like, whatever. You're on your own thing, whatever. But no, like all in all, it's it's not me intentionally trying to offend people. It's me more so like, hey, let's have a conversation about it and why it offends you so much that I say X, Y, Z. And if that offends you, then cool. Either we can come in the middle and talk about it, figure it out, or you can just consistently complain and then go back home and then complain and cry about me. That's fine. It's not gonna take anything out of my personal space. I'll go home and I'll run it up to do something else, man. I don't care. Like, I'll move on with my day. Like I said, I'm the type of person that I got stuff to do. Right. Very little time, so let's run it up and move.
Now that I think about it, it's kind of like love that. I know it is funny. I'll say mine right now. But now that I think about it, right, it's funny like how liberals are still so mad that Trump was in office in 2016. It's like, dude, we're in 2024. Like,
man.
How dare him be president? It's like, dude, get over it. Like, it's like,
man.
And it's funny. It's the example I think about it now. It's like, bro, it's 2024, like you're still salty about this guy, but with that being said, I think like I like what he said and you guys said. I think that it goes back to starting them young. I think teaching them the foundations of America. Like me, I think I've told Alfred I fell in love with the Constitution a lot, the Declaration. Absolutely. Just because of the forming of the founding fathers. And it's funny because now you have a system, right, where they say go to college and the funniest part, the one that I always get, and it pisses people off, and I've debated when I was on TikTok a lot with lawyers who would get mad at me, which was funny, but they were left leaning, is they would always say, oh, how do you know about that? Well, the Constitution is not interpreted that way. I'm like, really? So why would the founding fathers want you to go to college to learn a simple document that has 27 amendments and 27 list of grievances? It sounds to me none of their writings or none of them said this. As a matter of fact, 33 of those guys were homeschooled. And that's what they're like, wait, what, like, where did you? I'm like, read about them. Read these founding fathers. These were just normal guys. So I think, like I tell Alfred, you got to take it back to all the way the principles of America and say like, 100%. Oh, okay, let's learn about the founding fathers. Why was this Constitution written? Why did they leave Great Britain? And from there, I think the youth would understand like, yeah, it's not about feelings. It's about your liberties. It's about freedom. It's about freedom. I think, right. And I think that's what I would say is that, especially now too, if the school system is bad, homeschool them. Like I said, for most of the founding fathers, or half of those guys were homeschooled, and look how brilliant they wrote a document, man. It's like when I read it, I'm like, how? Absolutely. You were just a homeschooled business guy, or like one of them was even poor. I forgot his name. One of them was so poor, and he got elected to office. Yeah. So it's like, it's crazy how our society, or I guess you could say our government, is trying to tell our kids and our people, like, go to college. Yeah, go to college. And then it's funny because you see college, you go more broke than ever, bro. Yeah. Sadly, you have some students who are in debt. But I would say, start them young on reading the Constitution, of the Declaration, and just understanding the foundations of America. Yeah. And I think that will set them off to be like, oh, snap, like everything you're trying to teach me in college. Like you said, the professor was like, well, how do you know that? You have a source. But I guarantee you ask these historian professors, and the times that I've debated some of them, it's like they get this left-leaning book, and I'm like, wait, hold on, let's write who this author was. And here's a quick story too. I think I told Alfred about this. I challenged one of my professors because he started talking about the founding fathers, calling them the bourgeoisie and all this stuff, right? So then I read, I was like, well, where's this book? And it's called The People's United States of America by Howard Zinn. And I went to look up who Howard Zinn was. He was a communist. I was like, of course, like, what do you, no wonder. And all the stuff he had was America's plan was only for the rich and white folks. And then I go look at the author, and I'm like, yeah, he's a communist, but yet his book sold in every educational facility, and he gained off of capitalism, but he's a communist. You see? Crazy. So I think people need to really go into detail when it comes to that. And a lot of leftist historian professors and even law people now will be pissed off if you learn your Constitution and Declaration, because sadly none of them want to read it, or they just go in to read other things. But that would be me. Just my thing is teaching them young about our founding of our nation, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, and that's where it starts.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's great. That's great. All right. So we're almost done, guys, because I got like 30 more questions. No, I'm kidding. So let me ask you guys a little bit about this. And this is a big one. This is something that maybe you have experienced or, in certain conversations, but we see this a lot. What are your thoughts about cancel culture? What does it mean? Yeah, what does it mean to you?
question.
Like when it comes down to
That's a loaded gun right there,
I know it's powerful, but listen,
Gets you
a
more
lot-
pissed, bro. Like,
Yep,
Sorry, Alfred.
a lot. No worries. A lot of people are encountering this. Listen, now cancel culture it's a real stigma, right? It's something that people talked about and said it's not happening, right? It's like when they said we're not teaching kids anything. Right? We're not taking them to no libraries. We're not teaching them anything. We're not doing anything. We're not stopping you from speaking your piece, right? But yet again, we're starting to see that young conservatives are being attacked, through the cancel culture movement or process, right? This is where conservative young people or young adults are often targeted for expressing beliefs. This is something that has been faced in social media, right? This is a backlash that you see on TikTok, right? How many of you have been canceled here? A couple times, right? For saying
I would say
for saying
me the
something that
most.
maybe something you said something that
hey, me, Alfred, just so you know.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
Believe
man.
me, you've been off the ringer on TikTok for a while now.
Right, yeah.
How about those that lost jobs because
Right.
because of your beliefs, because of who you are as a person, right? Even if it's a Christian or you think that way, right?
COVID, remember you were mentioning a lot of jobs were lost for people
lot
that
of
didn't
them.
agree with it.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? Or you were either put on the
Administrative leave or something like that.
on the program, right, to get tested every week. Remember?
Yeah, every week, every
through
2
the
weeks.
nose. It was
Yeah.
every week, every Wednesday, Thursdays. You would be tested. It's funny because you go in there just to be tested. Like you're getting the email from COVID, everywhere, right? Even including for those people that got it. But yet again, here you are being tested. It just did not make any sense. Cancel culture. What do you guys think about it?
All right, go ahead, Julie.
Well, I don't think I've personally experienced it, but I probably will very soon.
Get ready.
You and me both,
Get
brother.
ready.
You and
It's
me both.
okay. My trust is in the Lord.
Okay, there you
I'm
go.
already canceled.
He's my shield. Oh, you're right there. That's it.
They're
Run
gonna
with
be like,
that.
nope, he's done.
There is no God.
Right, dude? That's how they're gonna come at him.
Exactly, but I have seen it happen to a lot of people, and it's terrible because that's one of the biggest freedoms that is promised here in the United States. The freedom of speech. Where you can express yourself.
Freedom of press.
And I do agree that does apply to those crazy ideas that you don't want to listen to, because the ideas are allowed to kind of fight themselves, and the superior idea will come up on top because those ideas are generally based around truth. And I always tell people, time always yields way to the truth. Truth is everlasting. You're never gonna move it. Your knowledge of the truth changes, but the truth never changes.
Facts.
But nowadays, it's like if you state the truth, it becomes a little bit too offensive to people. Excuse me. And what I've seen is it's a mob that kind of goes after you, and they get you as an individual. It's like, he said this. We are here to get him in order.
How dare
And-
you?
Exactly. Shame on you.
For
we
shame.
are offended. We have been assaulted by your words. And
That's the craziest
That's,
thing, bro.
that's wild.
and it's terrible because it suppresses people, and it has been successful in suppressing conservative voices across the country. And it is a reality, and it is one of those things that I don't know how to express it, but it's a challenge in your work, in your career, as growing in a business, whatever it may be. But it's always out there, and we're seeing it very clear right now with the foreign stuff that's going on in Israel and in Gaza. You have the pro-Palestinian people going around and signaling out council members who aren't even taking like a position in favor of Palestine or Israel. They're just simply saying, we are a city. We have no jurisdiction over the matter. Why are we wasting city time on this subject? and you have this mob that just comes up and yells at them and are aggressive and are violent, and they will take city council meetings until 1 o'clock in the morning, keeping city staff up. And it's like, you guys, it's like they weren't even taking like a pro side anything. They were just like, we have no jurisdiction over this.
Oh,
and
we have bigger issues to worry about.
Oh yeah, there's more direct issues that are affecting our constituency, which we were elected to support. So I guess that's what I could offer on the cancel question. Is I've seen it happen. It's terrible. Don't be afraid of it. It'll come around sooner rather than later. But just hold your ground, as you were stating earlier.
Yeah, I mean, cancel culture, man. I don't get it. I don't understand it one bit, man. I like to think of myself as a free man, and until I'm not, then that's when we have a problem. But the way I see it, man, you can cancel me all day, every day. That's fine. I don't care, because at the end of the day, I know who I am. I'm a free man, and so I will consistently go to talk and have people say, I'll have those conversations. I'll have those tough conversations. Now, get me one-on-one. Hey, we'll chop it up just like the homies or whatever. It's not a big deal. But when you start coming at me as a mob and saying, well, we're gonna cancel you because you hurt our feelings, again, like you said earlier, that seems more like a you problem. I think.
Right.
Like if you're gonna get offended about my words, then not only does that tell me that you're not willing to meet half and half and or have a conversation, but that also tells me that you're just purely in your feelings, and that's okay. You be in your feelings.
Right.
You go on about your business. I'll go on about mine. I have nothing more to say to you. So you can attempt to cancel me. That's fine. I don't care. But when we give those people the power to cancel you, that's when it becomes a real thing. Yeah. So for me, it's not a thing. It's you can say this cancel word all you want till you're blue in the face. It doesn't faze me. I will go home and be like, I'll tell my, hey, you know what happened today, babe? Yeah, so I guess I got canceled. She'll be like, what? Like, I don't know. It's just a thing. Cool. I'm gonna go do my thing. I just thought it was funny. It was a joke.
We canceled them, guys.
Yeah,
we canceled
I know,
them.
right? And what's funny about it is like some of these people are very proud of that. They're very like, yeah, we canceled this guy.
We
it's
shut
like,
him up.
Yeah, and it's like,
oh, but then they preach, but freedom of speech.
Yeah, right. It's wild. I'm like, how do you have freedom of speech, but yet you want to silence people because they don't side with your opinion? It's not. It's just dumb at the end of the day. Like, so I look at those people and I'm just like, bro, you're. I'm not even trying to be mean, but at the end of the day, dude, you're dumb. Like,
Idiot.
if you can't have a simple conversation because your feelings are so involved and my words hurt you, and now you're like, oh, let's cancel him. Go ahead, dude. It doesn't faze me. I'll be on my, on about my business tomorrow, dude. Like, I don't. It's just ridiculous, man.
Yeah, and looking at the camera, I'm gonna tell you right now that I've been canceled so much, and I'll say it straight up: if you are a man with a penis and testicles and you dress as a woman, you're not a woman, bro. I'm sorry, you're just being lied to, and you get clip this. I don't care who you send it to. Again, you are a man, and I'm gonna be straight up and stand on it. With that being said, cancel culture. Again, I am just annoyed already at the fact that the same side that says they believe in freedom and democracy and saying, oh yeah, freedom of speech, they're the same people, like you said, who want to shut you up. How dare you tell this man that is dressed as a woman, wearing high heels and all that, that he can't be a woman and all that stuff. It's just annoying. I get it. Like you said, okay, bro, if it offends you, walk away. You don't have to talk to me. I won't have to talk to you. But the moment that it's annoying, again, this is the hypocrisy that annoys me, is you're the same people that talk about keeping democracy alive and all this nonsense. But if I tell you something like that, or if I tell you you're not a woman or a man can't get pregnant, or how dare I stand up for abortion as a guy, right? No, cancel him, fire him, find out where he lives, make sure that you do this, you protest and all this stuff. And it's just annoying because you're the same side who talks about the other side being dictators and fascists, but you're practicing fascism right there.
Yeah,
straight up fascist. Like you're telling me to be quiet and cancel me. So again, I just think it's annoying to me, in my opinion, and that's the only thing that annoys me is hypocrisy. That's
dude.
What I would say.
I'm you know what? I'm right there with you. I can't stand the hypocrisy in a lot of the, and I think a lot wholeheartedly.
And it's only coming from the left, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
100%.
only from the left, bro.
and
I never have even when I hear leftists, and sorry to interrupt, hear them say some nonsense. I don't even say cancel. I'm like, all right, bro, that's your. But it's only coming from the left. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I mean, just to the whole reason, which was crazy, is why I got into politics, is because I started seeing the hypocrisy in things, you know, and I'm just like, no, dude, like that's not okay. Like everybody should be able to do and say what they want. Now, mind you, like the way I put it is, okay, you know, you can go out just any given day, right? And I can go and be like, hey, I'm gonna practice my freedom of speech. Cool. What am I gonna do today? I'm gonna go yell at somebody and curse them out. You know? Okay, cool. But at the end of the day, either one of two things is gonna happen. Either that dude's gonna leave, or he's gonna just beat that ass. And for me, I'm like, dude, there's only two options, you know. So if you go out there with the intent to offend somebody and say straight up, hey,
piss them off, bro.
yeah, they're gonna hit you, and that's the way I see it. Like, you know, it's crazy that the hypocrisy is just, it's wild to me. From that.
And these are, sorry to interrupt.
No,
these are
go
the
ahead.
same ones, right, Julian and everybody? The tolerant left.
Bro, that's why they're not tolerant.
loving.
The loving.
What's crazy? Yeah, I mean, like you got this whole thing, and you know, I'm for you doing what you want to do and whatever. But let's just take this into, you know, in food for thought. You know, you got Hunter Biden, right? And just a quick. This dude straight up, and look, let's call a spade,
Keep
right?
it a buck.
Yeah, exactly. This dude freaking pulled up in the White House one of these days, had a 8 ball of cocaine laying around, right? and so like I was telling Alfred, I'm like, dude, look, I don't care that you have cocaine in the White House. I really don't. What I care about is if I can do it. So not that I'm like, you know, I'm not about that life, but
Rules for thee?
Exactly.
100%.
So it's like the way I see it is I'm like, well, okay, cool. You know, and what's crazy to me is like they're like, well, I don't know whose it is. It's like, bro, you really don't know? Like,
You're the only crackhead in there.
yeah, dude, like, bro, come on, man. We're just gonna pretend that didn't happen, all right? And then like 2 days later, they're like, well, we didn't find the perpetrator. But yet they can go find like all these people from J6. They can go find where you live. They
The
can
documents of Trump.
yeah,
hidden in
dude,
this
and it's
thing,
great.
But, they don't
Like,
know
but
who- yeah.
you know, so it's like for me, I'm just like, dude, if you can take an 8 ball of cocaine into the White House, then just let me do it. I just want to test it out and see if I can do it, and I expect not to be arrested. That's just it. But the minute you decide that, hey, you know what, this dude's bringing in, you know, an 8 ball of cocaine, and you know we need to arrest him, I'm like, no, that's not how that works, my dude. Like, you have to meet in the middle and say, if this person can do it, then so can I. Because it's not about being one above the other. It's about an even playing field. That's right. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Go ahead,
Awesome. Like, lastly, because I know some of you, man, bro, listen, we've been at it for an hour and 20 minutes.
Let's go.
Look at this, man.
I could go on,
Hey,
Alfred.
I'm
I told
telling
you, I could go on,
It's
man.
a great conversation, I have to
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Listen, this is one of the things that people need to hear. This is what the other side has been done. And again, we're going to do that to ourselves because we haven't found a platform to actually allow these conversations to happen, right? Either you get canceled, or you can express your views, or you cannot say things that are going to offend people, right? And that's why we're doing this, because horchata time, that's what we do, right? We love it. We love to have a conversation where let's come together, let's have these discussions. Lastly, this is the one that hurts me most. You know, we lose family because of our beliefs, because our convictions, right, to choose, you know, somebody that we think it's the right, you know, for this country, right? It could be Joe Biden, it could be Trump, right? But we get canceled out by our own family nowadays. So how do you navigate with, you know, not only the younger generation, right, that are 100% behind Biden, and the older generation that think that, you know, the other side is racist or whatever, but how do you navigate these discussions between your own peers, your own family? I'm talking about the political ideology or the political realm, you know, of having an open discussion about the right or the left.
So I guess I'll start with that one. So essentially, I always tell conservatives, don't be the liberal spreading the division. You know, like if division comes to the family, don't let it be because of you. You know, you have the history on your side, you have truth on your side, you have a science on your side, and it's your job to kind of kind of be able to communicate the conservative message over to your family members. If the family members refuse and don't want to understand, or like they get offended and they want to shut down, well, then that's on them. You do what you could, but don't be the one that's spreading the division through politics. You don't ever want to be the divider of the family, I guess. I understand that politics is very hot and very emotional, but that's where it falls upon. I think there's a very famous quote from a conservative philosopher. It's you owe it to your ideology to learn how to win people over, win other people, and not just, you're stupid, get out of my face and don't come to our Thanksgiving dinner anymore. No, instead, be, that's where you have to be diplomatic. Well, never mind. Yeah, I take that back. Don't come to Thanksgiving dinner. Right. But, so I think that's, because I got to see, I think everybody's family kind of, well, if you're involved in politics, you've kind of experienced that, I think. No family is 100% on board, but we definitely got to see, especially after 2016 election, that was the Thanksgiving after that election, that was the first one after that election, that was a really tough one. And there was a lot of tension there, but it's families make up the neighborhoods make up the cities make up the counties make up the states make up the union. If you don't have good, healthy families, it's terrible. So do everything you can to preserve the unity within the family, but wisely expressing our positions, because they are the right positions. We're on the right.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I'm going to start off by this. I've always been the person that states that family is a privilege. It's not a right. So, people, have asked me about that, and, I tell them, I'm like, look, I have brothers from all over, man, where I look at them and I'm like, I would lay down my life for you 1,000%. But then you got your actual family members that disagree with you, that can't have those conversations, and it sucks. Obviously politics are a hot topic, but for me as a person, you can say, hey, I don't want to talk to you anymore if you're my brother, sister, whoever, man. Like if that's like my brother-in-laws, my whoever, sister-in-laws, whoever. It just comes down to me, and again, that comes from me standing my ground. If you, like you said, don't be the divisive one. And that's never my intention. So for me as a person, it's like, you know what, you have your beliefs, that's cool. I believe in whatever you believe in to be right for you. Right. That's fine. But at the end of the day, if you don't like what I'm saying, or you disregard what I'm telling you, that's fine, but don't let it divide us. Now, when it becomes a problem is when you do let it divide us, then you know what, ¿sabes qué? I'm out. You go do your thing. I'll go do mine. If you want to reach out, I'm here. If not, cool. It doesn't make a difference to me, bro. I promise.
Yeah.
So,
correct.
Yeah. I would say for me, right? I have some liberal family on my dad's side. I think for me that I've been doing content creating, kind of like what he said. I don't want to divide it, but I want to wake them up.
Yeah,
correct.
Exactly.
I want them to see my content, and even as being liberals, thankfully they're not hardcore liberals. They just don't like Trump and all that, and some of the Republicans, and I get it. Yeah. But I when I talk to them, I say, hey, primo, prima, cousin. I have them on there, but I want to be that. I guess you could say the light in the darkness is them being like, wait, hold up, my primo is making sense. Why did the Democrats do this? Mm-hmm. But why did Trump didn't do this? Mm-hmm. Why are the Democrats doing this, but not the Republicans? Why are and then eventually they start saying like, man, you know what? Like maybe I need to start thinking these things, and that's where I think me as my platform is. I have them. I didn't unfollow them. Mm-hmm. I actually got into a discussion years ago. And she knows who she is. She's a cousin on my dad's side, and she's a teacher, and she, we went at it, but I never disrespected her because she's been my cousin. Yeah. But I didn't unfollow her. She didn't unfollow me, and we respect each other, and I get it, But I want to be that person for them to be like, man, you know what? I think I want to reconsider seeing some of these things, And that's how I think we should be, as you as the lead of OC GOP Latinos, you as a veteran, throw your content on there so people that hate on it be like, man, you know what? Well, hold up. let me actually start thinking,
Yeah.
reconsidering these things. You know,
Yeah.
that's just my.
It's yeah, no, you're absolutely right, because you know, I was telling Alfred prior to, so before I even got into contact with him about everything and how I want to see things, like for myself, I'll post stories all the time about, you know, repost of you know, just from Lexit movement itself, or you know, some other Charlie, no, maybe not Charlie Kirk so much, but you know, just you know, all these people that do talk about politics, I repost it. And for me, it's that's where it starts the conversation. So I post it in hopes that people actually get upset to the point where they physically have to message me and say, hey, what's going on with this? And it's like, cool, let me break it down for you. Let's have a conversation, yada, yada. And then you can start being that light in the darkness. But again, it doesn't come with the intent to offend people. It's just more so to look at my story.
Question. That's what I
yeah,
said.
exactly.
Question
And all my friends, like everybody I know growing up in high school, they all know I'm Mexican. You know, they always confuse me for you know, being here, like growing up here and being born here. And I'm like, no, dude, like I'm straight Mexican. Yeah. And and they're like, yeah, man. So I post these stories, right? And you know, it's just more for the intent to be like, hey, like this story is weird. Why is this dude saying this? Okay, let me go message him, because I think this is not okay. Cool, then message me. We'll chop it up, have a conversation. If anything, let's go grab a beer and just hang out, and then we can start breaking it down. Yeah, but it doesn't do any good when either one side stays silent or the other side just completely disagrees without any conversation. So when I throw stuff up there, it's more for them, not me, because I know where I stand on the aisles. And I know, and again, I'll die on that hill. You know, whatever you come at me with, like I'm there for it, because I'm gonna stand behind my word, and that's just what it is. Like you don't have to like me at the end of the day. We don't have to be best friends. We don't have to have a beer, whatever the case may be. My whole goal before even this is just to throw up those stories, just to get people to start thinking, because we're not doing that enough nowadays. And we're just letting people run us over, which is why we consistently now go back to the beginning, paying high taxes, paying this, paying that. It's not going to anything. It's not going to the teachers. It's not going to the PDs. It's not going to the fire departments. People that do a lot for the community. It goes to none of them.
Just politicians.
So exactly. So then so when I post stuff up, it's like, yo, look at my stories. Be mad. Come talk to me. We'll have a conversation. Yeah, all I want you to do is question it. Again, back to Biden. If his son's bringing in cocaine, bro, like why does that make sense? How does that make sense that he can do it but you can't? That's not okay. Not that I'm encouraging people to be like, hey man, go take an 8-ball to
the funny part is, sorry to interrupt you, right? It's he can take coke into the White House. But if a cop catches you out with a little bit of coke,
arrested,
quick, in jail.
So, and then I could even go back and be like, well, excuse me, officer. So, why, if I can't have this cocaine, then why does
the president's son?
Why did the president? So then you start, you know. But of course, you get some BS answer, and that's fine. It is what it is. Obviously, rules for thee, not for me. So I get that. But as the common people. As you know, people from Orange County, like for the most part, I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like in Orange County, almost everybody knows everybody, and that could just be me. But you know, like I'll run into somebody almost every so often. Hey, how you doing? None of them unfollow me. It's all people from high school and whatnot, and you know, we still keep in touch from time to time. But you know, when they look at my stories, and not to say that I'm super pro Trump or whatever, but it's more to open your eyes up and to say, hey, like, why is this guy voting for him? He's Mexican. That in itself should be a reason as to why you should look into why I'm voting for him, because 100%. Of the simple fact that I am Mexican. So for me to come up and just be like, hey man, like I'm a Latino and I'm voting for him, and then you know get those people mad, so they could be like, hey, why? Why? And it's like, well, let me break it down for you. It's because this, and this. I want a lot of lighter government, bro. If I'm being honest, man, the restrictions that we have here with just even our Second Amendment, bro, it bothers me. For sure. For sure. But that's a whole nother topic. I could go on for days. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's just one of those things where we have to continue that.
Right.
I agree.
I would say, like, thinking about it too, that you went to college. Have you noticed too? And they're sending. I think the scarier part is, and last thing on me, Alfred, is I would say is that in college, right? You couldn't question a lot of things. just took information, and then sometimes you question it at home. I think we got to bring back that now. Question these things.
100%
individual thought.
Oh, what do you think about this? That's why when I throw content and I tell Alfred, I want people to question it. What do y'all think? Is it right that the government is taxing us?
Exactly.
Canada right now, they want to pass this life imprisonment bill because they say,
Correct.
question that. Why? Why do I have to go to So I think that's where I think we need to get Americans and everybody and Latinos and even Chicanos watching this, question these things,
Exactly.
bro. Don't just listen. Say, wait, hold up. Why am I being taxed more? Why is my gas being high? Why is this? Why can I own a firearm?
Well,
Why? So,
and especially, sorry, just real quick on that, but especially in the Latino community, man, like they don't question a lot because, you know, for the most part, every from what I've seen in the Hispanic community, we're known as people that grind, man. We come in, we do the work. That's
don't ask
what,
questions. Just get the work
exactly.
done.
It's like, hey, there's the jale. Let's go get that money and then, you know, feed our family. They're the common people that want to, you know, feed their families, live a good life, and work hard. That's what it's always been about. But they don't follow the policies. They don't follow the politics of it, and that's where I get into it. And, you know, like, I love my people, man. And that's the hard part about having these conversations, is because when we talk about stuff like that, they're like, oh, well, you know, you're a racist, or you're this, or you're that. And it's like, no, dude, I love my people so much that I'm willing to die on that hill for them, because I have to bring this to them to say, hey, you know what? I know you didn't do the research. That's fine. I'm not here to force facts down your throat. I'm not here to force you on my side, but I am here for you to question it so you can understand, you know what? Why is this dude telling me that I'm paying so much in taxes? And then start thinking, you know what? Yeah, I am paying a lot in taxes. Let me figure out why. And then just you plant the seed for them to look at it, to be like, hey, ¿sabes qué? Nah, I'm not paying taxes because of this. You know, I previously saw on, and this is my last thing. I previously saw on IG this Hispanic. He's a straight up compa, dude, and it's
With
cool.
the beer? Is it the guy with the
Yeah,
beer?
with the beer, dude.
You
And
saw it too.
it's so
It's
funny
like-
because that guy right there, man, that is the people right now, man. That's the compas. That's the Latino community. They're starting to see where it's like,
well, that's how, if you realize that you run the organization, that's how bad it is for Democrats.
Exactly,
You got a compa,
exactly.
an old man speaking Spanish saying, hey, bro, I'm voting for Trump.
yeah, he's like,
Drunk,
yeah,
bro.
no, you could tell he was
Yeah,
like
like,
a
that's
good
a- that's
one.
a senor right
But
there,
for him to say it, regardless of whether he's drunk or not, like the community, whoever is against that, they're gonna look at him and they're gonna be like, hey, well, this fool's a sellout. And it's like, bro, he's not a sellout. He's just looking at his family. He's looking at like, bro, can I feed my kids tomorrow? Can I pay that rent? And they're in such a struggle, dude. And that's where I say, like, I love my people so much. Like, I want them to prosper. I want them to gain that money and be like, you know what? If we're working hard, let's make sure that we're gaining the money that we're working hard for.
Right. What were you going to say, Junior? Sorry, but...
No, just I was just gonna echo what you're saying essentially, and this is also what I like to communicate to all of other fellow conservatives is, whether you're involved in politics or not, you are an ambassador of not just conservative thought, but of the Republican Party in the United States. So whatever people see you doing, they're assuming that the fellow Republicans are like you. So we Hispanics, conservative Hispanics, have a very special task of representing the conservative Hispanic view, and our job is to be that bridge between our thought, the results of the country, the reality, and where our philosophy stands between that. And it's our job to be that bridge and connect to, just so right now, just because it's so nasty, people are seeing them by themselves. So we got to take them by the hand, literally as little children, and educate them on the Constitution. Why are all these systems in place? The other thing that I think is really nice about us is that, well, at least I've got to experience in my personal life, is I use a lot of comparative politics for my political, where I stand politically, right? Mexico, U.S., two countries just about the same age. Why did one country prosper so much more than the other one? Both have rich in natural resources, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And similar cultures, you know, here is whiskey, over there in Mexico is tequila, here is country music, over there is norteña and banda. Exactly, you know. And there's so many similarities. Our languages are very similar. So why did one go off? You know,
The
one did
patriotism,
good?
by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Patriotism.
100%. Yeah.
Mexicanos, and I respect it too. I don't have
Right.
bro, Mexicans, you see, and I'm a soccer guy.
Yeah.
Soccer games of Mexicans.
Bro, yes.
US soccer
Yes.
games.
Let's go, America.
Right.
Oh, did he just say America? Chill.
No, go ahead, finish. Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's just, and then I just try to also help other fellow Mexicans see why is our country such a disaster, having all the riches and the process, you know, everything.
resources.
It has absolutely everything. Why is it such a disaster?
Patriotism, man.
And that I do give the, you know, Mexicans, and especially now more.
Oh, bro,
It's
they
like
have it.
they launched the flags out on their homes. You know,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like it's Mexico, Mexico, and I think that unfortunately that's something that's being lost here in the United States. Is like everybody's allegiance is to your home country, wherever you came from, foreign countries, and they see the United States as just land. And it's
joke.
like no, it's like you gotta love your country. Like I was born in Mexico, but I became a citizen of the United States. This is my country now. This is the country I love and I'll support, and I'm frankly living my life for. So I think again, but how do we get other Mexicans that are here to this position where we're at? You know, to detach from loyalty for Mexico. It's like, you know what, we have the blessing of being here. You know, and so that's where we as ambassadors come in and try to
One
connect those dots
conversation
for
at a
them.
time,
So
man.
100%, 100%. That's another key thing. I believe that it really is one starfish at a time.
Yeah.
It's not a war or a battle that we're gonna win overnight. It's definitely, and we're doing it here. This is the long game. It's like we're not gonna flip an election here tonight, but getting the conversation out there, getting the conversation started, out to the Hispanic community, you know, and continue to echo it is part of the start.
100%.
Yeah, Alfred.
I love it. And guys, and that's why I am shooting a what do you call that? I'm fishing. All right. I'm fishing to you guys to actually kind of impose this, because this is important, right? The importance of having these discussions, right, is so crucial, right? Especially with our young people, with our the Gen Z, the Gen X, the Gen Z, the millennials, and you guys are there. And so I would love to extend this invitation for you guys to consider that we come and have this discussion once a month. Julian, Ernest, and Eli.
Yeah,
we come
sounds fair.
together and we have this. We'll title it. Of course, right now we're using the Horchata Time logo and stuff because they're not here. but no, Eli's here, and but I would like to start off a new podcast, right? Titling it the Young Conservative Symposium, and I think that's a good name. And the reason why is a symposium, it opens up this a round table of communication where we can have these discussions, right? And listen, maybe you don't agree with some of the things that we're talking about, but at least you're able to have 4 different perspectives here around in a table, and you just at least have some sort of sense of somebody's trying to communicate to you and a different opinion, right? Or a
Correct.
different view,
Yeah.
opposed to what you hear out there. Sometimes over there, there's no opinion. It's you're wrong. That's it. See you up, the finger, whichever finger you think is best. and no, we're not gonna do that. That's what we're
I only
opening
got
this.
one correct one. So,
Right? Yeah, man. But hey, I want to thank you both, Ernest and Julian. Ernest, thank you. We just brought him in here, and we just said, hey, bro, jump in there, brother.
Man.
Jump in there. He did it. He took
Right
it.
on.
And we thank you so much, brothers, for coming in
Thank you
together,
for
man.
having me, man. Shout out to you guys for doing what you do, man. And Lexit, like I said, man, I think it's a very important thing, especially among the Latino community. And honestly, I love it. So thank you guys for having me.
Awesome. Julian, any last words? And then you go, Eli.
No, I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity, and same thing on behalf of, I'm representing the Republican Party. Thank you for what you guys are doing. We need this. We need people to take a stand, be a voice, and for all the work that you guys are doing. We're doing it all for the country at the end of the day. So I really appreciate you guys all for taking time and all the time, money, that is invested into this effort. So let's go on to 2024 victory.
do this.
Yep, let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's get
Do
it.
it. Eli,
I
lastly,
would
bro.
say thank you guys so much, both of you guys. Ernest, thank you for your service in the military, man.
Appreciate that, brother.
Thank you for coming in and speaking your mind. You know, I think that's what I told Alfred. I think we need to do is get more people in here. Let them know, throw them on the podcast, and you're a person. If you know more people that want to come in here and be like, hey, what do you think? Go and say your opinions at the podcast. You know, I think that's our goal, is especially that election year is coming up, you know, so I think we got to get more people. So
it's an important year, man.
Right. So thank you for coming in. And also shout out to OC GOP Latinos chairman right here, Julian. Thank you, man, for coming in and talking and speaking, especially for the OC community. I think that's what they need, is someone out there to say, hey, and both you guys actually, hey, we go through the things every day, we see it, and we just want to come up in here and express it. So thank you guys, man. I think I want to give you guys credit for taking the time out of your Friday and coming in here and just knocking this down. So
yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, see you guys next month. It's a promise. We got it on video. They already said yes, so we're gonna see them.
You
here.
want it in blood?
Yeah, there you go. Sign right there before you leave. I'm kidding. Thank you guys. We'll see you guys here at the next Young Conservative Symposium. Thanks a lot. Woo-woo.
all right, man.
That was good.